90.7 Flagstaff, KPUB 91.7 Flagstaff, KNAA 90.7 Show Low, KNAD 91.7 Page, KNAG 90.3 Grand Canyon, and KNAQ 89.3 Prescott. It's 7 o'clock.
Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Charles Abels, local photographer in and around Prescott Valley, Arizona. And before I begin to share the story of my recent purchase, the Panasonic Lumix G9 with a Leica G lens in the box, along with another Leica G lens, I want to talk briefly, quickly, on the recent word from Ricoh/Pentax camera. What is the news? Well, they're going to be putting together teams to develop a new 35mm film camera to put out there on the market. I know, isn't that exciting? So naturally I thought, well, hey, I have a Pentax K1000. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this camera right now. The main event is actually this Panasonic, but I wanted to give you a heads up because on the next episode, or in the next couple of episodes, I want to share a little bit about this camera, share films or share photographs that I had taken with this camera, so you can see how awesome 35mm film photography can be. All right, I'm not going to go into too much detail right now because frankly, I want to break down all this recording gear, put it aside for the moment because I really want to bust open this box. I'll share with you, but I want to charge up the batteries, get this camera ready, and I don't want to take up too much time. I would rather wait later in the episode to share with you why I purchased. This is a Panasonic Lumix G9. So let's take a few moments and pop this box open and see what we get. I mean, I'm impressed with how they packaged it. B&H. I purchased this from B&H Photo. I was very much impressed with how they packaged it. Of course, naturally, it does come with information on how to operate the camera and other things. Oh, and the fun part, of course, is breaking this open. All right. There it is. Come on, there we go. Huh? This is, from what I've read and from what I've watched on YouTube with other photographers giving their input. And then I wanted a camera, and Panasonic is fundamentally the only camera, Panasonic Lumix is the only camera that I know of where Leica and Panasonic works together. And so I wanted to get a Leica lens. I have a fondness for Leica lens. And so when I purchased this, I wanted to make sure that I have a Leica lens. This is a 12-60 Leica G lens. What that means is 12-60 on a 4/3 sensor means it's 12-60. That means I got a focal length of 24 to 120. A neat little zoomer here. Can't wait to get that on there. And of course, for me, it's paramount. I have a lens hood. And as far as other extras that I got, as I said earlier, I do have this Leica G lens. It's a 9mm, which means then I know that it's going to be, fundamentally it's an 18mm focal length lens on this camera. Something that I can use for, well, astrophotography, shooting meteor showers, shooting wide angle as well, landscape. This might be a remarkable lens for lightning, photographing lightning. So I wanted to get a lens that was a little wider than the 12 or 24 focal length to capture. And I mean, just the lens here, it's remarkable that the lens here, both lenses, even this zoomer is just light. And of course, no purchase is complete unless you get extra batteries. And in this case, I got 2 extra batteries. So, that's it. I can't wait to get this together. I got to do some things. As an example, I got to charge the batteries first, which is a good point because I was wondering, I forgot all the other goodies in there. Oh my goodness gracious. We have the shoulder strap. Now, I'm not going to use this shoulder strap. I already have a rope strap. As you know, I'm partial to rope straps. But I forgot to mention, especially for those that are wanting a desire to purchase, there's the battery. We have the charging accessories to charge the batteries. Oh, I like this one. And so that pretty much completes this kit. And as I was alluding to, can't wait to get back to this because I want to charge the batteries, install the memory cards, of course. I need to get on there and also register this camera and check for firmware updates, see where I'm at with the firmware, and then go and take it out and photograph with it, which I'll share later on with the episode, and go into a little more details of why I purchased this camera.
Straight up scrumptious. Coupon says onigiri are special because they connect people.
Why did I go with Panasonic Lumix G9? Well, last year, many of you remember when I purchased the Panasonic Lumix G85. It's really a phenomenally awesome little camera. However, the problem that I had was as the day was coming when we were going to do an aggressive day hike in the Grand Canyon, down to the bottom and back up, you might say I lost my confidence in how tough that little camera is. Therefore, I decided to bring down the Leica SL2S camera with me because I had all the confidence that this is it's a robust camera and can handle what the Grand Canyon has to offer. The only problem that I had with this camera is that over 4 pounds, I will admit it was a bit heavy to carry down there. But it has been my mainstay, general purpose camera, you might say, my car camera. This was a camera that I took with me every day to work, so I would have a camera on hand in case something comes up. Now the G85, I neglected to mention, the G85, fret not, I ended up giving it to a loved one who can use a mirrorless camera, and it suits them well. Why the G9? Well, it took the latter part of 2022 to sit down and do some research. I mean, the internet is a great tool. Visiting thoughts from other photographers in what they like about it in the whole 9 yards, watching YouTubes. I won't go into too great a detail because frankly, I'm not a techie guy. I will say though that this camera, the G9, is going to present me with a serious learning curve. Saying that, let me read some of the highlights on why I chose the Lumix G9. It's optimized for high-speed, high-resolution imaging. The G9 packs in both a 20.3 megapixel Light MOS Micro Four Thirds sensor and an enhanced Venus engine processor to create sharp, detailed stills and UHD 4K videos. This configuration maximizes the resolution while keeping noise to a minimum, permitting the use of a sensitivity of up to an ISO of 25,600. Wow. I have no idea what that meant, but I do know this, all right? High ISO equals high noise when you take a picture, especially among the older cameras. Because I get up early in the morning and it's still dark when I go to work, I needed a camera where I could ramp up that ISO even higher. Well, not to 26,500, but at a minimum 12,500. Open up the f-stop. More often than not, 2.8 works well, and then adjust the shutter speed accordingly. Nevertheless, I needed a camera that I could just step out of the car and that I could just photograph without having to take time to set up on a tripod and shutter release cable. I'm heading to work, and setting on a tripod just adds all that much more time. Here, especially with my SL2S, I knew I can jump out of the car, aim in, shoot. And more often than not, I'll get what I want. Not all the time, but more often than not. So the fact that I can ramp this up with very little noise on a G9, to me was a selling point. It has a dual image stabilization, 2, helping to achieve the utmost sharpness when photographing handheld. That's an advantage to low light early morning photography. Put the image stabilization to use. I have it in here on the lens, image stabilization. I just have to remember to turn it on, turn the lens on, and then we're good to go. It does. I know for many people, they like to use the screen when they shoot, but it does have an awesome electronic viewfinder right here. I mean, the only thing that I generally end up doing is pulling off my glasses anyway when I step out of my car, and then I just aim in. It's got a diopter adjustment on there, which is really great for me. I just prefer using the electronic viewfinder when I photograph. A larger mean for image composition and playback to 3.0 or 3.0 inch 1.4 M.dot rear LCD monitor. It's an articulating monitor in case I want to use it. Now, what's great about this? Well, there's a certain confidence here that I can turn it around and close it up and protect the screen. The Leica SL2S doesn't have that option. Unfortunately, in my aggressive nature to photograph, I will say this, my rear screen is scratched up, but it's a good thing I don't plan on trading this camera in for anything anytime soon. But for a general purpose, all-around traveling camera, I could protect the screen, I could flip it open, I could articulate, I can get some strange shots with it. So that's like an added benefit to what I'm accustomed to here with my other digital cameras. It has dual memory card slots. That is wicked. I love that. Load it up with 2 SD cards, we're good to go then. On a trip, I shouldn't be running out of room on my SD cards. And more importantly, what means a lot to me, and I've brought it up in the past, it is constructed from magnesium alloy with die-cast frame. The G9 features a durable design that also incorporates extensive sealing at each joint, dial, and button to render it both splash and dust-proof, as well as freeze-proof to 14 degrees Fahrenheit. With that stat, that's clearly up to par with this SL2S. I have no fear bringing this camera out in the most adverse weather condition there is. Right now we got snow on the ground. We had a decent snowfall this morning. It's really a dusting, probably no more than a ½ inch to an inch out there. I would have had no problems going to work in that kind of environment and bringing this camera and photographing with this camera. Having said that, the G9 is the same. But that's fundamentally what I'm looking for in a, well, right now we'll consider it a general purpose car camera. This is considerably lighter at just over 1.5 pounds. I think it's 1.75 pounds, maybe even less than that, whereas this booger is over 4 pounds with the lens. The G9, I think, will meet that. It is really, if I had any concerns about this camera at all, it's the fact that it does present, or it does have, a serious learning curve in there. A lot of people said the video quality of this camera is phenomenal. I didn't buy this camera for the video quality, so eventually I'm going to probably teach myself a little about it. But some of the highlights on this camera that I really frankly enjoy is up here. I have my white balance knob. That makes it easy. ISO adjustment. When I was playing with it, it is great. It's just a lot quicker than putting it on some fancy button, some function button on here that you have to remember to press. Right here, I got it. When I'm in the manual mode, I can adjust my f-stop, shutter speed with these two knobs. It's great. For photography, I could work with this camera and eventually learn how to do all the fancy other, well, fancy stuff that this camera does that I have no idea what to do and how to do it. I'll be frank. But when it comes to photography, or photographing only, it's a doer, it's a keeper. If I was to point out on here, on the mode dial, probably my favorite that's on there is, of course, the manual. And you, of course, have the shutter and you have the aperture priorities as well. But what I like about the Panasonic Lumix is they have a Intelligent Auto Plus feature. That's wicked. Don't ask me what it does. I just know that I could flip it over to there. Let's say I'm driving home, something catches my eye. I don't have time to fiddle with the manual or aperture or shutter speed, and I just go in there and just hit the, throw it onto the Intelligent Auto. It's just phenomenal. In addition to that, it has some kind of artsy stuff, and then of course the movie, and the presets on there that I'm not necessarily familiar with yet. And then on the knob down below, I love how they single shots, low, high, timer. It's got all kinds of goodies there. Bracket it. I'm going to have to learn a little bit more about this as well and play with that. So all in all, I believe this camera is going to be a very good camera for my car camera. I think it meets my needs with low light photography, and I think it meets my needs with general purpose all around. Just wanted to give you my thoughts and tell you about the G9. I'm a little bit long-winded, my apologies. We'll keep you up to speed with this. So, I think I want to wrap it up. Don't forget to subscribe down below. I appreciate it. Appreciate those that do subscribe. Heck, I even appreciate those that watch the video if it helps with photography. At the end of this presentation, I'm going to show the low-light photographs I got on the morning of New Year's. Went around town, took some random shots, playing with it, experimenting with it. It's clear that I have a learning curve, and I have to learn a lot about this camera. So don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching this, and until next time.